Good morning. Welcome to the Community for Conscious Living weekly live broadcast. Today is Sunday, October 23rd of 2022, 100 years since my dad was born. Today is his 100th birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. Join me. I'm wearing my t-shirt with fireworks on it in celebration today of his birthday. We've had quite the party weekend, and it continues on today with family from out of town. Boy, we had a party with 170 people last night. And all of our families. I'm from a very large family, and we have more cousins than the bride in my big fat Greek wedding. So we had an amazing party. It was like off the charts, fabulous. It was wonderful. So let us go ahead and begin today, because I have something very special for you today, and that is a special guest, Gabrielle Hass, who you hear me speak with Gaby. If you are here regularly, you know Gaby shares after the session. She shares often with her insights and her wisdom and her ahas, and I greatly appreciate that. And she does a thing called DreamTending, which is beautiful, amazing work. And I had a session with her last week, earlier this week actually, and we recorded that session, and I'm going to play that for you. And Gaby is here. So if you have questions after that, she will be available for Q&A. It is, I think you're going to be like as shocked and surprised as I was by all of the things that came up and were revealed in this session. It just blew my mind. So please stay tuned for that. We're going to do that. I'm just going to call us into our meditation and healing circle. Let's see. Did I mention that the Community for Conscious Living is a community dedicated to personal transformation for universal harmony, healing the planet by making inspired changes in ourselves, the changes in ourselves that we feel inspired to make, to create a sustainable environment and a peaceful world. Just raising our awareness and our consciousness to do what is within us to create a sustainable environment and a peaceful world. So let's go ahead and come into our circle. Let's come into our circle sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, coming together as one. And let's bring all of our focus and attention to the center of the circle. Let's call on our source in the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate. We call on you. We ask you to send your essence of your pure divine light. Just imagine us all in a circle with this pure divine light streaming in to the very center of our circle, like a big giant hub. And we're all on the perimeter facing in, but it's bigger than that. It's just so much bigger than that. So we're in it. Right? And let this light fall on you and let it infuse into your skin. Let it soak into your pores. Let it travel into your nervous system, and through your nervous system, really cleanse and purify any of the clutter or the gunk from your pathways and from your neurological pathways, and let it illuminate for you whatever it is that may want to be illuminated for you. And just let that soak in. Let it soak in, cleanse, and purify. And again, we call on our source in the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate. We call on you. We ask you to send your essence of your unconditional love. Just let yourself breathe in that unconditional love into the center of your heart. And just imagine your heart. You have a funnel of energy that extends from the front of your heart space. And imagine that facing into the center of our circle, and just tip that funnel up and let that stream of unconditional love pour into that funnel and funnel through that funnel and all the way into your heart, and through your heart and all the way into the core of your body. Let that come in and fill you. Again, let your body be like a sponge. Let the core of your body be like a sponge, and just like a wick. And soak all of that unconditional love, that gentle waterfall of unconditional love, all the way into the core of your body. And just feel your entire being flooded with love. And invite your heart Invite your heart to experience the love in a tangible way, to drink it in, to soak it in, and to feel loved, and to be loved, and to know love, the depths of your heart. And in the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate, we call on you, we ask you to send your essence of your eternal compassion. And as this compassion just fills all of the space around you, let's breathe all of your energy into the core of your body. Like inhale all of you, all of the parts of yourself into your core. And as you exhale, let yourself drop down and land into your pelvic bowl, grounding into your hips. And let your entire being rest into this ocean of eternal compassion. This is the ocean of living consciousness. Right? The poet Rumi says, these forms we seem to be are cups floating in an ocean of living consciousness. What we are is ocean, too near to see, though we swim in it and drink it in. Don't be the cup with the dry rim. Swim in it, drink it in, float in it, open to it, receive it, allow it to flow through you and to be you, and you be it. And I invite you to rest into this place. I'm going to begin our recording with Gaby. Welcome, Gaby. I thank you so much for being here today. I want to tell people just a little bit about you before we go into the DreamTending experience, which I'm very excited for. Gaby, whose formal name is Gabrielle Hass, and friends like me call her Gaby. Gaby fell in love with DreamTending in 2015 when she met Dr. Stephen Aizenstat. When she was graduating from her master's program at Pacifica Graduate Institute in the area of Humanities, with an emphasis in depth psychology and living the creative life. She immediately embarked on studying with Dr. Aizenstat for the next 3 years, which led her to practice DreamTending as an elder. It encompasses all her life experience, spiritual, as a healer, teacher, mother, and grandmother, and she invites us to come dream with her. Thank you, Gaby. I'm excited to dream with you today.
All right. Well, I'm really excited too, because I love this. Ever since I was a little girl, I was interested in my dreams, and at breakfast, my parents would ask us what we dreamed that night.
Really?
So dreams were really honored in our family. So it's only right that at the end of my life, I'm doing this.
Right.
So there's a couple of things I want to just say for your brain mind, and then we'll probably not go into our brain mind anymore. Then we'll go into the dream world. So if you're interested in writing, if you're interested in working with your dreams, the first thing is, as soon as you wake up, write down your dream. And I have some friends that can't handle the writing down in the middle of the night, so they use their phones or a recorder to record it and then write it down later. And when you write it down, write as much detail as you can remember. What was the landscape? Who were the images in your dream? How were you feeling? What did it smell like? Just as much as possible, get into that dream. And then if you can write it down in kind of present tense, so that if I or you work with your dream, it brings us right into the dream time. So as Stephen always says, meet the dream in the way of the dream. And so I'm going to be doing some techniques that you don't really need to know, but if you can be prepared to kind of say, oh, I see, she's doing amplification, or now she's talking with the image. We treat the image, you pick an image, and it could be a person, could be an animal, could be the wind, could be an object, and that is the image we'll work with to see what the image has to say to you. There's something very fascinating that happens in dreams where the images have a life of their own. And we don't go into the dream saying, oh, this is what it means. We really look at what are the dream figures trying to tell us? And that's the important part. And it could be healing. It could be, I found it always helps in my life to know what those dream figures are saying.
Nice.
So an attitude of not knowing what the dream means is actually helpful. Go to your heart rather than we always want to figure it out. Right. So it's a little bit different from traditional dream analogy. This is a little bit different. That's why I'm calling it tending. I am tending with you to see what the dream is telling you.
Nice.
Okay. And if you can think of it as the dreaming psyche, which is really our imagination, is the source of really deep primal knowledge that we can't always access. So our dreaming is a way to access that. Okay? Are you ready? Of course, you now know that Debra is my dreamer and I am the dream tender. And I really appreciate, Debra, that you're willing to be this vulnerable in front of a group of people.
Absolutely. I love being the example. I get to benefit from it firsthand. And now, do you have any words for the people who are listening on like how they can like take this in for themselves and benefit from what you're doing with me?
Yeah, I'll get to that at the end. So there's not so much brain-mind stuff going on right now. Okay. And I also have a couple of books that I'm going to recommend. And of course, Stephen Eisenstat's still teaching. If you're really serious about wanting to learn more, I would recommend that you do courses with him. And currently he's doing them on Zoom. So it makes it easier for people all over the world. I did it in person in Santa Barbara, but it's convenient for me because I live just down the coast.
Right. Okay. So for the people who are with us here today, what kind of state would you like them to be in? Just in a meditative space, just kind of being in the vibe with what's going on? What would you recommend?
I always burn a candle. So I have a candle going, and that kind of focuses me on light and a focal point and a way of being. And yeah, it's more meditative, observer, just meet the dream in the way of the dream.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest.
Okay. So I'll invite people if there's...
Anytime you get into your brain mind, just take a deep breath and get back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is our meditation and healing circle. So I'll invite people to just be in the witness space, to stay with your breath in the meditative space, be in the witness space, and just see if there's any messages that come up for you or anything that speaks to your heart as you're listening, as Gaby is guiding me through this experience.
Yes, and it's really important to know that the dream is personal, but very often, especially now with what we're going through in this transition, whatever way you're looking at it, is that many of the dreams I'm working with right now with people are really world dreams. They're really so much about the collective. So yeah, anytime I do a dream, I get as much out of it as the person doing the dream.
I believe that. And any time that we come together in the spirit of healing, there's, even if one person is the demo or the, the teaching example, there's always something in it for everyone. So I want to just give that note and that invitation to people.
Okay. So Debra, what dream brings you here?
So there's a dream that I had as a recurring dream. I had it several times. It's okay to use a dream from my past, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. It was one of my, it came to be one of my favorite dreams. I remember the first time I had it, I was like, what the heck was that? And it was at the beginning of my really time of awakening and, recognizing there's more to the world than the day-to-day life I was living. And, just recognizing that I was being called into awareness and awareness beyond where I had been and had been living. So The dream is a dream where I'm in a downtown building, but it's only a 3-story building. It's one of the older 3-story buildings that are in downtown. At the time I was living in Austin, Texas, and it was like one of the older buildings in downtown Austin, kind of like on the, if you're familiar, like on the west side of the downtown, where there's some older buildings that are, the 3-story buildings. But I was like, I could almost pinpoint where I was. Not that it was a building I'd ever been in, but I could kind of see it. But so I'm in this building, and all of a sudden, like, water starts to rise. Now, there's no water directly around that space, but all of a sudden, water starts to rise, and it's rising in the street. And then all of a sudden, it's coming in, and it starts coming under the doors, and then it starts rising in the building, and it's just steadily, like, not in waves or anything. It's just rising up, rising up, rising up, rising up. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I'm trying to keep my head above the water. And then I see the stairs. And so I run up the stairs, and I get to the second floor, and the water continues to rise and to rise and to rise. And then I'm on the second floor, and I'm like, oh no, trying to keep my head up. And then I see another flight of stairs, and I run up. And I think at that point that I'm on the roof, and the water is still rising. The water is still rising and rising and rising. And then I'm like, oh gosh, there's like no way to escape. There's no more place to run to. And then a loud voice comes in and says, just swim. And then all of a sudden, my frantic body, my whole body just relaxes. And I just relax, weightless and fearless and free into this gentle water. And it's just bliss. And that's the dream. And like I said, I had it several times, and it was very interesting and telling. And so I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay. First of all, for those of you who are listening to this and not seeing it, Debra used a lot of gesturing, which is always really significant when you're telling a dream. And the gesturing was her hands just kept going up and up and up with the water until she started swimming. So remember that when we go into the working with the dream. So there's a couple of things that I want to ask you just for detail. What was the temperature of the water?
I want to say cool, but I don't recall it being uncomfortable at all. Not cold, not hot, just comfortable.
Okay. So do you have any associations with being in water like that? That's that kind of temperature?
No. I know I don't like super cold water, and I'm I'm a cold weather wimp.
Okay, would it be like taking a bath, sort of?
I want to say cooler than that.
Cooler than a bath.
Like very pleasant. Like being in a cool swimming pool, more of a swimming pool or ocean kind of water, but not cold.
Okay.
Or lake,
or actually being in a pool.
Yeah. Yes. And I also I don't like to get dirty.
Okay.
When it comes to, because I grew up at the ocean, and the sand, to go swimming in the ocean, I always want to clean off right away because I feel gritty from the sand. So it wasn't like that. I didn't feel dirty or gritty like after the water I needed to take a bath. It was, or a shower. It was just clean and pleasant.
It's funny. My mom never wanted to go to the beach because she didn't like the sand. You know, it's like, okay. So, you said in the dream, oh no, oh no. Was that fear, surprise? How would you,
It
how would you,
was, I guess I would say fear because it's like, the water's rising, I've got to get above, I got to keep my head above water or I'll drown.
are there other people in this building? Are you by yourself?
I, it seems like there are other people, but I don't know them and I'm not really aware of them. So for all intents and purposes, I guess I'm alone. I don't know if they're
No
even
one
having the
else,
same experience.
no one else is screaming or
No,
giving you signs of fear, just you. You're really aware of you.
right.
You're the witness of you. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I know this is many years ago. Can you give us a little bit of context of what was going on in your life?
I think back then I was still working in corporate world. I was working in high tech, and it was a time when I was starting to recognize that there had to be more to life. I think I was, it was around the time of my Saturn return, maybe a little past that, but right around that time, not knowing at the time. I mean, I had no awareness of there was such a thing as a Saturn return until afterwards when someone told me. But I think it was around that time where I really was starting to question, is this what life is? Is this what life is about? Is this what my life is going to be? Shouldn't there be something more to this? What do I really want out of life? Why am I here? Really starting to question existence because up to that point, I'd pretty much been going through the motions, doing what society expected me to do right on cue, except that I was horribly dysfunctional, but I didn't know that then.
But what was your feeling about going through the motions? How did your life feel? Like, was it um
While I was doing it, I was content. It was like this was the thing to do, and I was content and I was like living my life. And then just all of a sudden I started to question, where is this leading? What am I going to do with this? What isn't, shouldn't there be, some sense of purpose? I started to question sense of purpose, sense of fulfillment, and just having that feeling that there's got to be more to life than this.
and I know this is a real obvious question, but was there any part of your life where you felt that you were drowning?
You would think that that would be an obvious question, but honestly, at the time,
No.
I don't think so.
Not that you were aware of, anyway.
Not that I was aware of at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, like I said, looking back in hindsight, my life was horribly dysfunctional. At the time, I was doing just what I thought people did. This is what life is. And I was doing life and I wasn't really questioning until I started questioning. But it wasn't like, oh, life is horrible and it's bad and I need to do something. It was just like, okay, this is life. And then it was a question of, wait a minute, is this really life? Is this what
Well,
life is about?
you mentioned the word dysfunction. What was that about?
Well, I was a pretty serious party animal. I drank too much. I partied a lot. I um I I guess in terms of consciousness, I didn't have great self-awareness.
Okay.
Like I said, I was just doing what I thought life was expecting me to do culturally, socially. And like now I live completely differently from what I did before.
Yeah. So I would guess you were like in your late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the repeating dreams of this dream, was it always the same or were there some variances?
I don't recall any variances. It seemed to be the same.
Same building, same water.
Yeah, same everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, it takes me a while to get things. I had to
Well,
see it a few times.
that's an interesting observation, because I know that a lot of people have similar or the same dream at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like your psyche saying, you getting it yet? You getting it yet?
Right?
So that's,
Yeah. Or, this isn't something to brush off. There's a message here. I want to make sure that you recognize this isn't a one-off, one and done thing. This is a message.
okay.
I think that was the main effect that the recurrence had on me, is like, oh, this isn't like, wow, that was a fluke thing. This is a message. Listen up.
So let's go back in the dream and really be in the dream and feel the water coming up and up. So what's your sense of what the message is?
So the overall, it's like when I'm like trying to keep my head above the water and like run up the stairs and still keep my head above the water and run up the stairs until I'm on the roof. It's just it was that, tuning into it right now and really being in it is a little bit different from what I thought before, but it was kind of like I'm here. I'm here. Don't run from me, rest into me. I'm here. Oh.
Well, again, for those of you that can't see her gesture now is open-handed to the sky, but low, like that emoji of the little figure with the arms out, like it feels to me like an invitation.
Yeah.
Like an invitation to become more conscious, an invitation to not drown or swim, an invitation to swim. So when you get to the voice, so go back in the dream and you get to the voice, and is the voice there every time you have this dream?
Mm-hmm.
Always saying the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Just the 2 words.
Okay.
When I get to the roof and the water's still coming up and it's like there's no more stairs to climb and nowhere to run to, nothing else to hold on to. It's like no place else to run, no more stairs to climb, nothing to hold on to, and the water is still rising and I can't keep going.
Well, that sounds like a song.
Right?
Isn't there a song about nowhere to run to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very often in my dream work with myself, I end up with a song or a sound that seems to be an anchor for me for the dream, just like this invitation gesture that you're doing is an anchor for this dream and the message. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now we've done a little, looking at symbolism, looking at the context of your life, looking at, and that's especially important when you're doing a dream that happened a long time ago. We've kind of animated a little bit, you being in the dream. So now we come to the place where we're going to work with the images. And so which image, and like I said, it could be a person, could be a thing, could be well, you don't have animals, but you have elements. So what are you most curious about?
The building.
The building. Okay.
Yes. Because it's the same building every time and it looks so familiar, but I can't place where it is. And it's like in the dream, I pretty much know where it is, but I don't know that building. Do you know what I mean? But the building's always the same. So I'm very curious about that.
Okay. Well, before we start actually having a voice dialogue with the building, what does the building bring to mind? When you see the building and you have a knowledge of this building, have you ever encountered it in real life after this?
I don't think so. I mean, there are some buildings like it, or with similar characteristics that I've seen, but not like none where and that's interesting because I've had other dreams before where and a different dream that was a recurring dream, but it was more like a waking experience that was kind of in the half state that I had recurring. And I would always go to this place, and it was like I was kind of being pulled out of my body and flying around. And then I would go to this place. And then I actually I did find that building when I was going down the highway in Northern California, and I said, oh, I wonder what's over here, and took the exit, and I went driving around in that town. And I was like, oh my God, there's that building. I've been in there. And I pulled over, stopped, went in the building. But so I've had that experience before. But with this dream, that building, I don't know why it really stands out for me as having some significance. And I've never thought to look into what that could be.
Okay, so let me ask you now. What
Okay.
is it about this building that you invited it in your dream?
Get back in there. Because it's kind of like, it's one of those buildings where it's interesting because on like if you walk through the door of the building from the street, the wall to the right is all brick and it's painted, but some of the paint is peeling off. And then there are the stairs on that side are like, wooden stairs that go up. And I don't even like remember the second floor at all, other than I got to another landing point and the water was still rising. And then there was another set of stairs kind of like looked the same. And as the bottom floor, there was no difference there. It was like, oh, kind of like being in the same place again, but a level up. And then there was the same wall there, the stairs up. And till then it was just on the roof and there was nothing. So
you have a sense about how many stairs there were or how many floors?
I think the roof was the third level. So I think there was 2 floors and then the roof and stairs, like about 15. I don't know for sure.
You mean per stairs? They had 15 rungs, kind of?
Like, yeah.
Sometimes numbers mean something in the dream. Like the third floor might have a meaning to you that isn't necessarily a collective meaning, or maybe it is a collective meaning. That's possible too. So is there anything about 3 or third?
Do you know what comes to mind is in one thing that I've just dabbled in a little bit and play with is human design. And in human design, I'm a projector 6-3. So if you know anything about human design, my numbers are 6-3. And in that, there's a theory about your life being divided into thirds. Oh my gosh, that just hit. Because I didn't get into this until much, much later. I mean, like much later. Wow. Okay. So they say in the third, like the first part of your life is where you make a bunch of mistakes. Second part of your life is where you get a do-over and you kind of, you get to repeat some of the same opportunities and do them a little bit differently. And the third part of your life is where they call it jumping off the roof.
Really?
And that's where you get to fly. It's like you get to take all your life experiences and then really bring them to fruition of, this is where you're going to actually bring your fulfillment, your service, your creativity, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Oh, jumping off the roof, but it's to fly, not to swim.
Yeah. Or just, yeah, to, whatever,
To be free.
yeah, to be free,
Wow.
and fulfilled. And yeah,
Huh.
kind of like to, um, I want to say reap the rewards of the trials of life, but it's like, okay, you, I'll point this inward. You royally screwed up the first third of your life. You did a little better on the second third you actually did a lot better on the second third of your life, but it was a real learning experience still. And now, you've hit the third, that third part, and you're ready to just like, have the fulfillment and the reward and the, I guess the sole purpose expression of what you learned.
Isn't that just so poignant, given that you had this dream at your probably first Saturn return,
Mm-hmm.
then you had the second part of your life till your next Saturn return, and now you're in that third place.
Yeah.
And that the dream didn't say right now you have to swim, because you still have to swim through life, really. Yeah. And how does that make you feel?
Wow. Like there are no mistakes, and there is an incredible divine orchestration in this life that has now brought me here to you, where you ask these questions that just ties a bunch of stuff together.
Wow.
Yay. And
Yeah.
it does feel like, oh my gosh, time? Is it really time? And I have to say the second third of my life was absolutely incredible, because that was my time of studying with my spiritual teacher, living in community, really dropping into the cosmic ocean of, experiencing a sense of unity with all things, and just an incredible amount of healing, which can, be a roller coaster at times, but just an incredible experience of healing. And
Well,
now I do kind of feel like, I have felt like it's like, okay, so I'm done with like delving into the past and all that kind of stuff. Things come up still now and then, but I don't feel like that's, it's like I went through the mistake time, I went through the healing time, and now I'm just ready for just transformation, for freedom, for, just to be.
so does this resonate to you if I say now you're the healer?
Mm.
I mean, you are for me, so, I can say that.
God willing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So what else about this building? I'm liking this building already.
I know. I mean, it does, there's something very, yeah, I mean, that is very significant. And something about the brick with the paint peeling off has some significance. Like it's like an old, where they'd have the buildings, all one building, but, those brick buildings where, it's like one building and they're separated by these brick buildings.
So the brick is the separation point, or the transition point from building to building.
Yes. And like where I'm from Galveston, Texas, and I'm back in this area now taking care of my dad, which perhaps could have some significance because there are buildings in the downtown Galveston area that are like that. And I was in one just not long ago, as a matter of fact. There's an old playhouse, because before COVID hit, I decided, I'm here taking care of my dad, who is turning 100. As this will air on his 100th birthday, 100th birthday. Probably some significance there as well. But when I moved back here after his wife passed away, and he was almost 95 at that time, and I just for fun, I thought, well, I'm going to take an acting class, something I always wanted to do but hadn't done before. And I thought, just for fun, I'm going to go take an acting class at the local junior college. And so, here I am thinking, woohoo, I'm a college kid. I could fit right in with this because I never understood. They always wanted me to play their mom or their grandma and all this stuff. I'm like, what? Come on, guys. But anyway, I let it roll. But I had so much fun with this group. And it ended up only being a half of a semester that we were in class together. We had to finish up the last of it by Zoom, because the second half of it by Zoom because of COVID. And then, a number of other things happened during that time where I wasn't able to go back and do any more classes yet. But I keep saying, so since then I've kept in touch with a number of the people. I go to the plays. I am, very supportive of them and their plays. And there's kids all now going off to further colleges and, the things they're doing now that they're graduated from the 2-year university, junior college here. And the instructor, who I think is one of the most fabulous people in the world, and still in touch with him. And I keep saying, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. That was so much fun. And this place where I've seen 2 plays there at this place in Galveston in the last few months. And it's like, oh, that has that wall like that.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know about the stairs, but it has that wall on the side. And it's interesting because you come in from that side, you sit here, and all the bathrooms and the bar and everything and the entrance is out on that right side as you walk in. So
I'm really fascinated by this wall. And if you guys can't see her eyes just lit up when she was talking about this experience of being in this class and being in this building. So would you be willing to have a dialogue with either the wall or the building?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what appeals to you more?
The peeling wall. Maybe it's like the bricks in that wall.
Okay. So take a really deep breath and just center yourself and get back into this room that you're in. And now I invite you to put your hands up the way that you did as an invitation. And invite this wall to come into your space where you are now.
Okay.
Okay, now remember, we're looking at the image as a living, autonomous being. It's not part of you. It's got its own psyche. It's got its own life, and for some reason has come into your dream life.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you like to know or say or ask this wall?
Well, it's like I feel like I'm already getting messages from it. It's like, oh wow. So it's like ancestral. It's kind of like ancestral information. And here's another thing: is we're getting ready for my dad's birthday. We're doing this thing called memory lane, right? We're going to have this setup of memory lane with all of the Grenard family history in Galveston, and my dad's place in that, and our place in that. And wow. And we have all these pictures from my great grandfather who came here from France, and then my grandparents and my parents and my dad and his family. My dad's one of 9. My grandfather is like one of, I think, 5, and his, so we were just last night until the wee hours. My sister and I were working on this display and just so we're pre-recording this on the Monday before. But we were working on putting together this display of all of these pictures. I took a picture of a picture. And if you will I've got to look at this now. Um, because this picture of my grandparents, here it is. Nope. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Just in this, my great grandparents in the room where they're sitting. It's like they're sitting in front of a window with curtains and a bunch of flowers, so I can't really tell. But it's just like, it's like there's got to be something in the ancestry of, these generations back that have history in Galveston in these old buildings since the 1800s, the late 1800s. And it's almost like it's calling me. I feel like there is like an old wisdom, but also a call to a creativity, which is interesting because I felt, my mother's grandmother was Native American. And so I felt a lot of alignment with that in the past, but never really gone to my dad's side before. And this is feeling like it's calling me to some form of a different kind of creative self-expression than what I've done before, than what I've delved into. And it's like, it's almost calling me like into like to up my level of feminine maturity, if that makes sense. Like bring myself, it's like releasing parts of the old childhood stuff to step into. I think there's like an inner feminine beauty that wants to be expressed through some creative expression there.
Wow, you just brought up a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, right.
And I think we probably need to watch the time. I am not
Yeah,
time,
I
but
know you got to watch me because I'll go on and on forever when we get into this stuff.
well, and it's got to go in your meeting time. So I'm being
right
of that. So, okay, a number of things just came up for me, and I'm wondering how you resonated to that. First of all, I'm really I'm studying with someone who is really into ancient Egyptian spirituality. And one of the things we do is we work with shamanic journeying, which is really similar to dreaming, actually. Mm-hmm. And I've been working with Isis. And, Isis's husband was the one who was dismembered and cut into pieces. And then she goes around trying to find his pieces to put them back together. And so this has become a beautiful metaphor for not just me, but I think for a lot of spiritual people right now, to remember, to bring together the pieces of your life. What are they now? What do you get when you do that? And so when you said, and I personally believe it's really needed with our going to a new earth of peace. But what you brought up was creativity and feminine. And to me, creativity and feminine are so connected. We're the ones with the womb. We are able to create life. But in this part of our life, what do we do with that creativity?
Yeah.
And so one of my questions that came up for me was, what did you like to do creatively when you were a child? Because often when we were children, we're more of who we really are than we are now. Mm-hmm. And that we need to remember that. Mm-hmm. So what did you like to do as a child? Your wall is still here in your room, so you can talk to me or the wall.
Okay. What I liked to do creatively as a child was I liked to write and draw, and I used to make books and then staple them together, just on paper, and staple them together on the edges so that I would, would say that I wrote a book and illustrated it. And and that was one of the things that I did. And I was a very hyper child in a lot of ways, and also really into um, kind of like, well, in terms of books that I like to read, were all about astrology and the planets and the stars, and I would read encyclopedias and look at all of the planets and the moon and the stars and stuff like that.
Oh, astrology and astronomy.
Astronomy, yeah, I'm sorry, astronomy. I didn't know astrology. I didn't know what that was at the time, but it wasn't astrology, it was astronomy.
But you were interested in the cosmos.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you
That
were
was like,
drawing and making those books, did you paint as well, or was it all drawing?
was mostly paper and crayons.
I'm just getting back to the peeling walls, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
You might
but
ask.
interesting. My mother's mother is as an artist, or was an artist. She taught music and art, and she did a lot of oil paint. Oil
Oh,
painting.
okay. So that's where the ancestry is coming in again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there was an artist in your matriarchal line.
Yeah, there
Now,
probably is one in my patriarchal line too. I'll have to look into that. There must be.
Did she live in France? How long ago did your ancestors live in France?
Well, so this is my father's parents, and they came here in the late 1800s, 1880s, I think it was.
Because one of the things, and now I realize you were talking about your mother's mother, but if you've ever been like in rural France, those brick walls like that would be very common, you know, and they might even be ones that divided property, you know, not just be part of a building.
Yes. Okay. Now another place where the brick wall is. Duh. So I have pictures of all these pictures as we were laying them out on this display. And one of the things is my dad's. So my father is a, look at this. Wow. I could even show you. This wall is a wall of ovens inside my dad's bakery. I don't know if you can see it. So my dad was third generation French bakery. And see those brick ovens in the back are where they bake the bread. See those long handles where they put the bread all the way to the back?
Right.
And that's my grandpa there in the black, and then all the guys that work there in the white uniforms. And yeah, but that was a wall of brick with the brick ovens set in there where they baked the French bread.
Okay. Can you ask your wall if there's a connection here? What does the wall have to say about that?
I was just like, I know I just saw a brick wall somewhere. Yeah. You know, I feel like there is some wisdom for me to connect with on the Grenard side of my family. Like, I hadn't really gone into that as much as I had into the other side of the family.
Yeah.
But there's some credibility that I'd never given to that part. I mean, you know, yeah, the bakery, the family bakery, that's three generations and beyond in France, right? But 3 generations here was it's always been a big deal. But in terms of some ancestral wisdom that goes deeper than just like creative expression with, you know, there is a very much an artistic creative expression with food, you know, and but there's more there. There's more there to dive into. And
bread, you know, the symbol of bread is in every legend story, you know, that's so basic to human life is bread. I mean, I'm looking at those ovens and I'm like drooling, you know, I know that bread is just so, I'd be happy with a chunk of cheese and bread, you know? It's so
It,
basic to life.
yes.
Huh.
And that was good bread, I'll tell you. I mean, I grew up on that bread, and I've never been satisfied with other bread since then. Um, yeah.
Okay, I'm feeling sort of time
Yes.
bound.
Okay. Well,
Can
I feel
you?
like there's a lot for me to reflect on, and maybe even make an intention tonight when I sleep if there's more information that wants to come in about this dream. Because I thought this was all past stuff that already happened. It was all about the spiritual journey and just resting into and trusting God, and it's been an incredible source of guidance through this second third of my life, as that's what the second third of my life has been about. But now I see, as divine orchestration would have it, this is telling me, okay, there's more. There's a third floor on that building, and it's got a lot to tell you.
Yeah. So this is your homework. I didn't
Yay.
tell you there was going to be homework.
I'm glad.
So my website is called OC Soul Expressions, which is really
OC Self Soul
no,
Expressions.
no. OC Soul Expressions.
Okay.
.com.
OC, like the letter
It's
O,
orange
the letter C, soulexpressions.com.
Yeah. And that's from OC, stands for Orange County, where I live. But what I've learned to do is have people that I do dream work with also then bringing creative kind of anchoring of the dream. And mostly I do it, and you'll see it if you go to my website, that I do soul collage, because I can't draw it all. So I love collaging because somebody else already did the drawing or the image.
Uh-huh.
But if you take this assignment on, I would highly suggest, first of all, what you just said, bring in another dream to see what about now, in human life, but also to create something that'll help you anchor this wisdom that you're getting. So does anything come to mind?
It's almost like I can't wait to go to sleep now, because I want to invite into my dream tonight, like any continuation of what wants to unfold, and other wisdom there that I hadn't uncovered yet. That is significant.
You might ask the wall. We need to say goodbye to the wall. Ask the wall whenever it's appropriate to please come back and thank him or her for what he or she has brought you today.
Yes.
So
yes,
do that
absolutely.
and say your goodbyes.
Okay. And, I want to give like the double high five and and do a little dance with the wall, because I feel really excited, and like I want to twirl around a bit and do the happy dance, do a twirling happy dance. So yes, I thank you, and I ask you, I invite you, if you will, to please come into my dream and give me more information. If there is like another part of the dream beyond the falling into the water, leaning into the water, to like show me what's next. And yes, for those of you who couldn't see that, I just did a very, I feel very excited.
Well, and, your creative act may be just doing a happy dance.
Yeah.
Or
there's
it may
more.
be,
There's more. This is a whole,
maybe baking bread,
Right. Well, I do that with my dad here, but maybe there's more to it than that. But, oh boy. So I mean, because I actually have been thinking, what if getting back into the bakery business, but being a like 30 more than 30-year vegetarian, and a good part of this being vegan, it'd be hard for me to go back into the full bakery business, because the bakery business was, a lot of, also had cakes and pastries and everything else. Once my dad took it over, he, introduced brownies, cookies, pastries, donuts, cakes, and they did incredibly gorgeous, gorgeous cake creations, and so I thought about it, but I thought about, I'd have to veganize a good part of it, which would make it not the same old family recipes. And yeah,
No, but they would be your creations.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a niche for that. I'm gluten-free, and I'm finding more and more bakers who are getting very creative with creating gluten-free pastries and bread. And
yes.
So maybe you don't have to think about the whole. Your family's already done the whole.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a niche for you to do,
Yeah, it is. I can tell you it's very difficult in this area to go into a restaurant and get anything vegan. So in the Galveston area, Galveston and, mainland area. So I've thought about there is a huge need for people who want to avoid animal products to.
Well, you were looking for some purpose.
Yeah. Yes. And it's not that I don't feel fulfilled and excited about what I do, because I do, but it does feel like there's a next thing for me. And, I've thought nonprofit, I've thought like a number of different things that I've felt excited about, because I feel like I, no lack of enthusiasm and inspiration there. But yeah, maybe that's a sign that this is the direction to go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being so open and willing to go so deep. I think I got a lot out of it. It's wonderful. And
I am shocked. I got a tremendous amount out of this. Thank you, Gaby. And thank you to the wall and the building and the water and the voice and everything.
And for those of you in the audience, if you're interested in learning more about dream tending, Google Stephen Aizenstat. I love his book, but I just looked it up on Amazon and it is extremely expensive now. So it might be better for you to take that money and do a course with him. I don't know, if you're just interested in doing your own dreams, give me a call or send me a text and I'd be happy to be available to do that. Yes. Even dream snippets, just a snippet of a dream. I've worked with people that were the most powerful. So you never know. Yeah. And then I have a friend who wrote a book called For the Love of Dream, and her name is Marilyn O'Brien. And it's probably a little better for like beginners. And she really goes into working with nightmare, which is really, really interesting. So anyway, it's been a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you so much, Gaby. It has been an immense pleasure for me. I thank you. I got way more out of this than I thought I was going to get, far beyond what I imagined. And so I thank you. I appreciate you. And I will give a recommendation for those of you, if you have, even as far back as this was in my past, who knew? But yeah, if you would like support in delving into your dreams and their meanings and the messages that they have for you, then by all means contact Gaby. I'll have all of her information, her website, and the books that she mentioned in the show notes on the podcast, in the blog on my website also. So you'll find all that information there. And I thank you very much for listening in. And I thank you, Gaby, for all that you gave.
My pleasure.
And continue to give. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to that. Thank you again, Gaby. I'm going to go ahead and open for the Q&A. For those of you listening to the recording, you're welcome to join us live on Sundays at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time. If you're listening to find out how to join us live, go to communityforconsciousliving.com. When you're there, you can sign up to receive reminders of these live events as well as the replays. When you do sign up, you will receive a free gift. It's two parts. One that is a one-sheet reminder of, it's called 10 Spiritual Principles of Our Human Existence, and it's a reminder of who we are, what we are, why we're here, what this world is about, perhaps even what our dreams can give some insights into, or a foundation for, structure for how our dreams speak to us. And you'll also receive a 15-minute guided meditation you can download and use as a part of your daily practice to help you stay connected with the divine light, unconditional love, and eternal compassion that is the core of who we are at the core of our beings. All right, and with that, I'm going to end the recording and open for the Q&A, and I thank you very, very much for being here.